Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Damian Lewis. In the news this week, there's disappointment as one member of the Chipping Norton Amateur Dramatic Society realises he's only been given one line in this year's panto. Liverpool Council deny wasting money on a new initiative to check occupancy levels in high-rise flats. And at a hotel on location, after his producer's husband turns up unexpectedly, Andrew Marr decides to go back to his own room. With Ian tonight is the leader of UKIP, who was once the subject of a BBC documentary, which in the end they decided not to show. Only in that instance, it wasn't because they'd made a Christmas special celebrating him as a national treasure. Please welcome Nigel Farage, MEP. And with Paul is a star of cult movie This Is Spinal Tap and The Simpsons. He does the voice of evil tycoon Mr. Burns, which many people assume is based on Rupert Murdoch. He also voices the character of Smithers, yellow, fawning, but ultimately powerless, presumably based on Nick Clegg. Please welcome Harry Shearer. And let's get started with the bigger stories of the week. Paul and Harry, can you take a look at this?
This is the Muppets protesting the fact that Romney threatened to cancel funding for Big Bird. That was...
And there's a man in decision there. I'm going to go... no, I'll go
Where's
back.
the loo?
Indoor fireworks, yes, Barack Obama has
Chicago
won.
was going to have the Olympics. They had confetti left over.
And these are people too young to be that disappointed.
And still, I don't know where to vote.
Yeah. So, yes, this is the American election. Barack Obama has won convincingly.
Did he stay out?
No, but I wasn't voting. Or indeed run him. So I knew I'd find out in the morning.
What's Radio 4 for?
Yeah, Radio 4-4, is there two of them?
They should have had a digest, shouldn't they? I watched it, and it's just lots of people saying, too close to call, neck and neck, neck and neck. Oh, he's won easily.
Yeah.
Did I see you on ITV?
You on ITV?
Yeah, I made a brief appearance.
Saucy little monkey.
Was it a good night?
Yeah, it was a terrific night. I went to the American Embassy. I came in and a woman said, are you Democrat or Republican? And I said, well, I don't get a vote. And she gave me a Republican badge and said, there's a lot of these. And I thought, I think I know which way this one's going.
Isn't the story here that 93% of black voters voted for Obama, over 70% of the Hispanic voters voted for Obama, and actually the Republicans have had it, haven't they, in America?
That was what one of the Republicans said afterwards. Said, what's the problem here? And he said, we're not generating enough angry white guys. Right, we've got to start producing more of them.
Well, with 23 million people unemployed, you'd think there'd be enough angry white guys around, but...
You said voters. Are you Farage?
Are you accusing him of having a dodgy American accent?
Yes, there does seem to have been a bit of an election in the US this week. That's absolutely right, gents. To try and boost their campaign, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, of course, had one last-minute push in Ohio. Anyone know what they christened this effort of theirs?
Titanic?
The blip, the disaster, the good thing.
The Blitz.
They called it the Romney-Ryan Real Recovery Road Rally. Bit inconsiderate towards Japanese Americans. Our Prime Minister, he tweeted away like crazy. Anyone know what he tweeted?
They'd been to a baseball match together, hadn't they?
He's now on Obama's side, isn't he? The Tory party now support the left-wing party, is that right?
But they're only left by no one's terms, aren't they?
Obama's domestic policy is severely to the right of Richard Nixon's.
The Americans have a Conservative Party and a very Conservative Party. And then they have a Tea Party, which you just don't want to know.
Yeah. So our Prime Minister tweeted, warm congratulations to my friend at Barack Obama. Look forward to continuing to work together. Well, now he's not allowed to text Rebecca Brooks anymore. As always, during the campaign, there were accusations of negative campaigning, of course,
yes.
Slurring, attempts at media manipulation. Anyone see any examples of that?
Well, I think there was a landmark moment where, in the early part of the campaign, that is to say in 1978, when Obama's supporters were criticizing him for not saying that Romney lied.
There
But
was,
they spent £2.5 billion.
Yes,
on,
dollars.
dollars. And this was, in the final bit, the adverts were about who would waste most money in America.
That's right. By the way, an 18-month election cycle, you could gestate an entire elephant in that time.
There was this widely distributed image.
How did he get the dog to stay on his face like that?
There was some technical issues with voting machines. Did anyone see that story?
Yes. There was a voting machine where a person kept pressing the button for Obama and the machine kept registering Romney.
That's absolutely right.
It's magic.
And he still lost.
Yeah. These things are harder to fix than you think.
That's an appalling accusation.
Top US political expert, Piers Morgan, was on hand with his customary insightful analysis on the day of the election. What bombshells did he come up with?
Did he predict a Clinton win?
He revealed, I haven't a clue who's going to win the US election, and nor has anyone else. Thanks for that, Piers. Of course, it's quite important during the campaign to keep control of your image.
Yes.
Obama seems to have had the edge there, too, over Mr. Romney. Here's one that was released of him. And here's one that emerged of Mitt Romney.
That's not a photograph you want to be posed in.
If you want normal people to resonate with you, have a helicopter behind you, not a jet.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone know about the eyebrow index?
Yeah, the longer or shorter or thicker or slightly less dense eyebrow, the more or less chance you've got of winning or losing in an election.
7 of the last 8 elections have been won by the candidate with the best groomed eyebrows. Anyway, the advice was that Romney should go pluck himself. Mitt Romney became famous for his gaffes during the campaign.
Oh, right, yes.
Anyone remember any of Romney's
I like
gaffes?
firing people, was one that he said a few months back.
He actually said, I like to be able to fire.
I like to be able to fire people.
Yes.
There was a particularly surreal one, which he said back in January.
Yeah.
I believe in an America where millions of Americans believe in an America that's the America millions of Americans believe in. That's the America I love. Although that was probably just an auto-cue error, to be fair. Auto-cue error, to just be fair, probably.
The day before the election, he was heard to say to one of his final rallies, tomorrow is the beginning of a better tomorrow.
There was also the awkward one at the fundraiser, and he didn't realise he was being recorded. There are 47% of the people who will vote for the president no matter what. 47% who are with him, who are dependent upon government, who believe that they are victims. My job is not to worry about those people. Nigel, bit far or pretty standard right-wing nut-job stuff? Romney admitted having strapped his dog to the top of the car for a 12-hour drive from Boston to Ontario. Nigel, bit far or pretty standard right-wing nut job? And then his wife's plane was forced to land after smoke was detected, and he told the press, when you have a fire in an aircraft, there's no place to go, and you can't find any oxygen from outside the aircraft because the windows don't open. I don't know why they don't do that. It's a real problem.
Oh, dear.
Nigel, anything to you?
No, I'm sorry. I mean,
nothing.
even UKIP on a bad day can't compete with Romney.
No, quite. Yes, it's the US election. The result was in the balance until the last minute. Mind you, if Americans think that election was exciting, just wait till Britain elects its regional police commissioners. Explaining the complexities of the electoral college system to its readers, the Mirror described it as the race to 270 votes. A figure that UKIP can only dream of. One Romney supporter who took defeat badly was Donald Trump, who tweeted, "We can't let this happen. We should march on Washington and stop this travesty." All right, Donald, keep your hair on. Ian and Nigel, will you take a look at this?
The lady of the moment.
Nadine Dorries. That's
Oz. Yeah.
Dennis McShane in a helmet.
Yeah,
and
these
some
are-
elderly computers.
The last time I was on this programme, Ian, in fact, you had a very serious dig at me because I'd been accused...
Surely not.
No, honestly. I was very surprised about it.
I needed counselling.
I can't remember anything about it. Was it £2 million of expenses?
Apparently, I did. The guy that accused me of misusing £2 million of taxpayers' money was none other than Dennis
McShane.
Scumbag McShane, who, whilst he was accusing me of this, in fact, used taxpayers' money and, in fact, over the course of 18 months, bought 8 laptops and gave them to assistants and interns as gifts, but worse than that, then set up an organisation called the European Policy Institute, claimed expenses on that, and was actually signing fraudulent cheques. So I feel pretty embittered.
Although, Nigel, you did have a meeting with Andrew Neil recently, didn't you?
Yeah.
After you said in
We
2009...
haven't finished this yet. I'm still enjoying the expenses.
You'd start publishing your expenses quarterly, but you still don't.
Well, we're doing them 6 monthly instead.
Let's have a quick look at this.
There's no information about your expenses since December 2011. That's nearly a year.
Yeah. In fact, we're doing it every 6 months, not quarterly. That seemed a more practical way to do it. And you're
you
quite
haven't
right.
done it this year at all.
I haven't done it this year at all because I simply haven't had time to do it. There's a big difference here. There's a very big difference here. These are not expenses that I'm claiming for. These are allowances that I'm given because that's the European system. And voluntarily what I do is publish this stuff online, which I've done once every 6 months since 2009. No
OK,
story.
that was
Sorry.
fun. Can we get back to the other guy?
No story. No story.
Oh, I'm sure there is a story, but we mustn't... we mustn't let off the other guy. There's no point going back into history. Let's get back to him. Because
he
not
deserves
only
it.
did McShane falsify invoices, not only did he claim expenses that he had no right to, not only did he sign bits of paper, but he's furiously pro-European.
Well, that is even more serious, isn't it? Well, I think...
Which I would suggest is probably, what, 2 years? 3 years?
Well, minimum.
I cannot understand why no one spotted it, because he set up this policy institute, signed the cheques himself, under the name of Mr. Michael Mouse.
Really?
No, I made that bit up. Anyway, he might go to jail, do you think?
He will.
You think he definitely will?
Absolutely, no question. He's got to go to jail. MPs have gone to jail for far less than he's done. And he deserves it.
Right.
Scumbag.
If he does go down, he might want to dress a little bit differently. That's him putting an expense claim in for the imaginary pair of trousers he's wearing. He's had to resign after submitting false invoices. According to The Sun, he claimed for 14 computers in 3 years. 14. And still Comet went bust. What are your feelings about Nadine Dorries?
Well, there's a big debate going on. Is Nadine going to defect to UKIP? And I thought...
That is the big debate.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, is she going to go? I don't know. Please, tell us.
She was on this team with you, wasn't she?
She was here. A lot of people think she's slightly unhinged and that going to be on a reality show when you're meant to be in Parliament is a bad move. But if you think that would be a good member of your party, go for it.
I didn't say it was.
She's gone off to be on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And Parliament's actually sitting. I mean, there are loads of votes. She's not going to help her constituents. A lot of people in Parliament are quite cross.
Does she still get her salary while she's away on a reality show?
Yes, she does.
She does.
Yes, she does.
Recently, she said, if 16 million people are watching I'm a Celebrity, that is where MPs should be going. I'll tell you what, Nadine, millions of people watched a bloke leap out of a balloon from the edge of space, if you're interested.
She did tell people that she's going to do this in order to raise important issues. Do you think she's ever seen the programme?
Eric Pickles had something to say about it. Have a look at this.
Well, I shall be watching it for the first time for a long time, and as I say, I shall be reading it religiously every week to keep her there.
Conservative Whips responded by suspending her until she explains her actions. News that Heat magazine felt it necessary to impart to their readers, adding, whips doesn't mean sexy whips. They're the people who get everyone to turn up to vote and tell them off when they're naughty. Said their chief political correspondent.